Hello, everyone. Let's talk about relational trauma today. So, relational trauma is the after effect of abuse, is the after effect of neglect, is the after effect of suffering. So, if you have been betrayed, if you have been betrayed by someone that you love, if you have been, it could be parents, it could be friends, it could be um, um, husbands, wives, partners. If you've been betrayed by someone you love, the after effect of that is usually relational trauma, which is the type of complex trauma. See, human beings are built for connections. We're built for intimacy. So when that humanity is been severed, when it's been either fractured or broken in some way or completely destroyed, that injury is so much more egregious, so much more pervasive than if you had like an accident or something happened that was not interpersonal. So the wounding in interpersonal relationships have a way of sitting in the soul if not treated for the rest of your life. So, and it would prevent you from maintaining relationships, intimate relationships in the future. So it is important that we know about it. So what are some symptoms of relational trauma? So some of the symptoms are this. If you find yourself constantly helping everybody, you're the savior in the relationship, you're constantly trying to fix everyone's problem, you might be suffering from, relational complex trauma. If you find yourself overly independent, I don't need anybody. I don't need anybody in my life. If that is you, overly independent. Independence by itself is okay as long as you know there is an I and a we, but no one is an island. So if you find yourself independent, that means you don't want to get hurt. You don't want to get hurt. So you are going to build a life that doesn't need anyone. I'm a self-made person. I don't need anyone. If somebody offers to help, you're going to say no, I don't need that. You might be a victim of relational trauma. If you find yourself over sexualized, constantly wanting constantly, or anything that has to do with, maybe exposing yourself, maybe you know just always wanting to have sex 24/7, you could be a victim of relational trauma. Our childhood are stored in our bodies, and our bodies will tend to react. If you find that you are in transactional relationships, so the kind of relationships where you don't need intimacy, you don't need to share your heart. All you want in that relationship is, I do my part, you do your part. That is a product or a symptom of complex trauma or relational trauma. They're the same. So, but the problem and the challenge is people can literally exist in their world and die in transactional partnership relationships, right? But human beings, like I said, are built for intimacy. We're interconnected beings. That's the way we've developed over years. A child's sense of self is not formed until until they're connected to another human being, until they see the parent or the primary caregiver looking at them, cooing at them, holding them. That is how they begin to build their sense of the world. So we're innately communal beings. Our parts of our brains don't even begin to form, memories don't begin to form until we are within communities. So when you don't live that type of life, when you're very successful at work and you're very, successful in other things, but when it comes to relationships, you struggle. It's because there's a wounding. And most of the time, it's not the breakup that happened to you in your 30s or in your 40s or in your 20s. Usually goes way back to childhood if you did not learn how to be. See, it's during childhood that we form what we call relational schemas and or building blocks. It is when we learn, you watch your parents, how they interact with each other, how they interact with you, how you interact with your siblings. This is where we learn attunement. It's when we learn to hold our space, and also allow somebody else in. See, a dyad is the most intimate structure in the world, but it's also the most unstable because most people can't handle this. It is too close. It is too intimate. So they immediately will find somebody to triangulate with it. So when you do not learn how to be intimate, nobody held you, nobody told you they loved you, you didn't feel or see yourself being felt in that home. You didn't feel safe in the place. Or you were told, suck it up, you don't show your emotions, or you were sent to a boarding house. What, the systems, there's studies that show in Europe, very early studies that showed all the aristocrats who sent their boys, especially to boarding schools, how that impacted their emotional development and their social skills. It might even be one of the reasons why we had all these atrocities in Europe at the time. Now we have a lot of Africans who do the same thing. I'm a product of boarding school. Sending your children off at that early age of 10, 9, 10, sending off to a place. And so those growing times of their life where their brains are still developing, they're forming us apart from you, outside of the home that's safe. So those things can be traced all the way back. And now you're in a relationship and you want to love your wife, you want to love your husband, you want to be in a place where you're close to them. But you can't. You can't. You can't because you don't have the schema. It's like trying to make a soup without the ingredients. It's not going to work. So what do? You have to treat the wounds. You have to learn to heal again. Heal yourself so that you can again become a whole and complete human being. Because when you just operate from your cognition, for your executive functioning, and neglect the emotional part of you, then the full person has never shown up. Emotions are the engine oil of life. Without them, nothing really works. So today, I invite you, click on our JARS education page or find us on social media, register for one of our classes, and learn how you can become whole again. This is Dr. Akin Dr. Marino, and I'll see you next time. Bye.